Coffee me.
Welcome to another edition of Tomando Café con Jesús Hoyos. And today we're going to have coffee with Ania Rodriguez. She's the founder and CEO for JourneyTrack. And Christin Bowman, product manager and researcher for JourneyTrack. Welcome to Tomando Café.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. So, just to put it into context, the people that follow me through my live stream, English or Spanish, that have a lot of opinions about putting together customer journeys. Okay, and I came across JourneyTrack because they have a solution that helps you put together customer journey before you start implementing them in your respective technologies. So imagine that you go to a room, you got a whiteboard, you have 20 people, and you start mapping stuff in the whiteboard, and you start taking pictures, or you upload that, or you have a sticky notes and flip charts. I've been there, done that many times. Okay, and then you have to do that again with the marketing department and the marketing agencies and the customer service department and the brand manager and the IT people and the technology people, so you can put together this customer journey to make sure that it works. But then let me throw something else out there where traditionally customer journeys are executed in many tools, technologies, okay, where you need processes, data, people, and technology to make sure that all that goes together. And and if you look into the customer relationship cycle of a of a customer, you have everything that has to do with inbound marketing automation, and that's part of the journey, and then you move into your CRM or e-commerce. Okay, B2B, B2C, direct to consumer, whatever is the scenario, or which we usually forget when you go to the store, the retail store. That's your experience as well. So that's part of the journey as well. And then you have onboarding, direct customer service. That's another two as well. So sometimes we call it engagement, customer journey, or journey orchestration. Now we call it conversational AI or a chatbot. But all of this, you have different technology, different data sets, and most important, different people that need to make a decision on how we're going to put together this customer journey. So JourneyTrack will help you do that. Okay. So, but before we start talking about, JourneyTrack, I'm going to let Ania and Christine, tell us who they are. Okay. And at the same time, I'm going to start talking about coffee, and then we're jumping into JourneyTrack.
Vale. Well, everyone, hello. My name is Ania. I'm the CEO founder here at JourneyTrack. When we talk about coffee, I'll talk to you about Cuban coffee. That's my parents' roots. So Cuban coffee is my cup of tea, or cup of coffee, if you will. So yeah, talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Founded JourneyTrack 2 years ago. Been in the world of customer experience for 24 years. Started my career at IBM, and then founded Key Lime Interactive, which grew to be one of the top customer experience, user experience firm that's still running today. Top clients like Google and Amazon and Bose and the likes. So super delighted to be here today, and thank you so much for having me, Jesus.
Perfect. Thank you, Ania.
And hi, everybody. I'm Christin Bowman. I'm a UX researcher and product manager for JourneyTrack. My background's in psychology. I have a PhD in social psychology, but I switched over to UX and product about maybe 2.5 years ago, and got scooped up into JourneyTrack, and it's been the best thing that's happened to me. So I'm really excited to be here.
So, Christine, where are you at right now? Where is home for you?
For me, home right now is in Lawrence, Kansas.
Oh, Kansas.
Yeah, most of my adult life I've been in New York, but we moved here a few years ago for a little slower pace of life for the kids.
Okay, well, for me, I went to college. I went to Iowa State, Ames, Iowa. So I been there.
Yeah.
I understand. I love the culture and everything. But that you I don't know, living in New York, are you a coffee drinker or?
Oh yeah, my coffee's right here. I'm on my
Okay,
second cup, I think, already.
because
Mhm.
Ania, I think she has like 2 cups already. Two cafecito cups, no, Ania? So,
Yeah.
do you guys have a tradition of drinking coffee, or you just every meeting you need to bring your coffee, or coffee in the morning and that's it, in the afternoon, or how strong is your cafecito, Ania, in the morning?
Well, I'm more. I typically do the 2 o'clock pick me up for sure with like with the Cuban coffee variant. But yeah, for me, it's a little bit of dosing, right? When I need to wake me up and kind of get going. But yeah, Cuban coffee is a lot stronger than American coffee, so we're super little doses because a little dose can get everybody really wired. So for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to do, before the pandemic, I used to do a lot of traveling all over, Latin America. I had a routine, flying back to the Miami airport. I would go to the is the coffee shop for La Carreta down by the luggage, and that was my, waiting for the Uber or waiting for my wife to pick me up. I would go there and have the cafecito. I don't
Yeah.
know why, and they would keep me up all night as well, but that was part of my routine. I don't do that anymore because I hardly travel now. But that's plus, I have my big cup of, I switched to American coffee, so Americano, whatever you want to call it, but that's my thing right now. So, but talking about coffee, sometimes over a cup of coffee, or donuts, or whatever they have in an office, like I mentioned before, when we go to a war room and we start putting together, these journeys. And sometimes, we don't understand what a journey is. We don't understand, the different components. We don't have a glossary or taxonomy of terms. And by the time you start putting people together, they start thinking, what are we doing here? Does it make sense? And sometimes, you need a tool to facilitate that communication, that collaboration. And that's what I believe, JourneyTrack offers. So could you tell me a little bit, I am on the right track, how JourneyTrack works, and, helps company?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, so yeah, we build journey maps, like to your point, are like a visual representation of the customer experience with the company or service, and over time over channels. So when people are trying to think about how they're going to service their customer, how that product is going to interact with the customer, journey mapping is central to that, right? It's a very pivotal thing. To your point, a lot of people, in the old days did the sticky notes, then maybe use mural. And while that is sort of options, they're very time consuming, right? And then the bigger challenge there is that, people can't then collaborate and really sort of move forward once it becomes static board. So yeah, for us, we created this tool to really help our customers like create, understand, track, optimize, and really kind of look at other factors and really recapture their customer lifetime value, because what net we're trying to do is make sure that those interactions that happen between different areas of the business that need to collaborate, that they're well thought out, that it's working the way they think it is. Because at the end, customers like you and I are the same customer, whether let's say at a bank, we are doing a bank product, like if we're going there to do our normal checking and then we're there for mortgage, net we're the same customer, and sometimes our experiences are very different. It feels like we're working with two different companies when in fact it's the same company, and we should be treated as customers the same. So for us, it's helping these right now, the primary users of our software is these large entities that really struggle with that end-to-end experience that is related to that same customer that might have multiple relationships with that brand or product.
What what is the biggest challenge that you guys see of company trying to put journeys together, and where your tool can add value?
The biggest challenge, I don't think they have a good way to understand how to really prioritize and track it and like get ROI. So our tool allows them to really model based on different business success metrics, how they might pick what is most important for them to work on based on customer need, which sometimes can be very different than what people internally think, right? And so it helps them prioritize what what's most important. And that's super important when you're trying to really categorize, especially if you have a lot of things you can need to fix along that customer journey, understanding where really it lies. Like you can't do that with traditional sort of ways that people have done that in workshops. It's very cumbersome. It's hard to track. It's very biased. In this case, people can go in there. They can really, with the workshop, they can, vote, create, groupings of things and really understand how it all fits together and then continue to track that through time. So, Christin, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely the biggest challenge that I hear as well, Ania, is being able to track back to the work that you've done and how that's affected your KPIs and the things that matter the most to you, to your customer, and how difficult it would be to implement changes. So yeah, the success metrics that we have in JourneyTrack and also the workshop, and I'll be excited to show those to you in a little bit. I think that's why those are some of the most popular features we see.
Is there a difference of putting together a journey from greenfield journey versus trying to fix a current one?
Say it again. I'm sorry. Is there a difference between trying to fix one that exists versus one that's out, that's new? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, no, I don't think there's any difference. I think for you, for someone who already has them, it's about just really sort of tying them together and allowing folks to continue to build on them. And so you can import from Excel if you've done them in Excel or wherever you have. We have import capability, so it's not like you are at zero if you have our existing ones. I think for us, one of the reasons why people want to do this is, there's obviously like different teams have done them differently through time because they have existing ones, and like the ability to import them and then see them and democratize them across different teams and sort of break down those silos is sort of pivotal to doing this right work. Beyond just like the simple, right now you traditionally see companies that, the marketing teams work on the awareness and consideration part of the journey. Like how do people learn about a product? What are they thinking about? And then the product team is worried about the UX and the features and the usage of the product. And they're not necessarily, really tying in with each other. So as you work, cross teams, breaking down these barriers is sort of really pivotal, right? And that's just within one journey, within one product. The bigger sort of bang is where multiple teams might be working on the onboarding experience of a product across multiple products of a company, and they have 10 different versions to onboard a product, which is different. And it's the same company, right? And at the end of that net, it should be. We should all feel the same when we're working with the same brand. We shouldn't feel like there's 10 heads to that brand. So we often feel like the latter, but it should be one.
Yeah, because one of the challenges that I see, when we start discussing customer journeys is that even within one marketing department where you have multiple brands and that brand might have multiple products, the context of the buyer persona changes from the product to the brand and to even marketing, and when you put them together, you say, no, but, Jesus is a commercial account. No, but Jesus is a retail account. Jesus is just an ID, a product ID, a tax ID in the system. I don't have information. I'm just trying to be sure that we can provide the best experience with the product, not for the customer. So do you see, your tool helping companies break down those silos just within marketing? Okay. Do you have some examples or something that you see how to, you can solve that?
Yeah, but obviously everything stays within a certain persona. So to your point, if it's a different persona, it's going to have, you're going to base it on personas. Very pivotal to this is who's the set of users that this is being designed for, right? So you're not going to necessarily look at it like by, oh, well, this is the commercial and then this is the residential version of it, right? Let's just say you're going to look at them as residential and then commercial if you're doing real estate, let's say. And there might be different experiences, and there might be comparative things where they both lock into each other, right? And that we can cross and look at it comparatively and look at it one on top of the other. But sometimes it's just very distinct. But it's ability to look at it separately within one customer view, right? At the end, you're trying to design for that customer base. So like if you are designing for a high-end commercial, it's very different than if you're designing for low-end, apartment buildings, let's say, and you were thinking about that experience of how it goes with the likes and the like.
Yeah, and let me give you this example, because you mentioned, metrics and return on investment. The other day I went to the bank and, instead of making the line, somebody came to me with the iPad and we did the transaction over the iPad and I was out of there in 5 minutes. Okay. Now, in terms of putting this on a journey, that has a cost. I'm very sure they cannot do that for every person that walks through the door. Okay, which it would be a lot simpler to do, through the website, or the mobile app. Okay, but sometimes, providing that touch point through the mobile app or through the website have technology complications because not all the legacy systems provide that data. So how can you help in that process of identifying, what is a priority, how we can put it on a pilot, or proof of concept, test it, make sure it makes sense, and then roll that out. So how you guys help on that? Because a lot of people have to make a lot of decisions, in putting that node or that touch point, and it's going to impact, multiple technologies and processes and data. How you guys, help companies doing that?
We're going to be the one that's going to help them see all the angles that they need to think about, because they're not going to think of every angle. So like it helps identify all the angles, right? And kind of understand where everybody's touching that same touch point. And then we're going to be the one that's going to help them measure or not, right? So when they get data back, we're going to be able to visualize it to that data point. Like, is it working or not? Maybe it's Qualtrics data that they're getting back from surveys or whatever it is. Other data they might have to validate that point. So
this is what you're talking about, Jesus. This is really what journey mapping is for, right? It's for laying out those potential experiences and the ones that you know about for sure, and especially the most painful ones, and then tracking alongside that all of the processes that are involved, all the costs that are associated with it, and then trying to balance out what kind of value a certain process might bring the company, what kind of value it might bring a customer, and then kind of trying to balance those out, right? So a tool like JourneyTrack helps you to see that journey and also all of those associated components so that you can make the decisions that'll bring you the biggest ROI and also make sure that the customer experience is the strongest.
Okay. And, another challenge that I see, again, trying to break down these silos, is that, again, the taxonomy, the glossary, the concept, it happens to me a lot, when people think about what is a campaign, and you have people that are putting an input of what a campaign is, and trying to draw, the customer acquisition process. Well, if you have in the room a marketing agency, they might be thinking, a campaign, a digital campaign from Facebook, Google, but the person who is going to be doing the marketing automation have a different meaning. But the marketing, the CMO, has a different structure, and the person who has the CRM has a different definition, and so on and so on and so on. So that process of identifying, putting, a definition to a term to be sure that everybody's speaking the same language, campaign is one of them, and that, through the journey, you're going to have many of those. Do you guys also help in trying to, hey, we need to define this taxonomy to be sure that, we're talking here apples and apples?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I'll just jump in if that's all right, Ania. So I think that thinking about collaboration and democratization in a tool to break down silos, there are several ways that using a tool like JourneyTrack will help you with things like taxonomy issues to get everybody aligned, on the same page, definitions of words, but also definitions of journeys, definitions of problems and solutions, right? So you could start by thinking about just having a single source of truth as being kind of that foundational component that you need in order for folks to be able to collaborate. So if everyone knows that there's one place that you're going to go in order to understand what the personas are, what their experiences are, what the journeys are, their jobs to be done that they're trying to accomplish, right? There's one centralized place to go to find that and to be able to easily link out to any other places, to Ania's point, where that data exists, right? Like having that single source of truth goes a long way by itself. But then there are things like we've got a workshop feature in JourneyTrack. So this is kind of like, your baby journey maps where you're trying to get all kinds of different people with different, like different definitions of what a campaign is, for example, all into the same room together so that they can then draw out that journey together, coming from their different perspectives. By having everybody in the room to build the journey together, you come up with that common understanding of some of those terms to make sure that then everybody's already bought into what that journey is. Everybody has a full understanding of what it is from everybody's perspectives, right? So that kind of initial workshop. Then you've got your journeys, you've got your single source of truth. And then on the other side of it, then you've got what we're going to do with that next, right? So having a way to build in like, what are the actual recommendations and specific actions that are going to come out of a journey mapping exercise, right? What we've identified pain points. Now, what are we going to do? And then being able to track over time how that's and everyone can come and see that, right? Everybody can see we made that change to the campaign. Let's look back, like when did we make that change? How has this metric changed over time since then? And so everybody's got all that information right at their fingertips together, which just makes it so that, everybody's aligned on the same page around those common definitions.
Because traditionally, when you use, the many, customer journey tools, the Salesforce, the Oracles, the Adobes, when you put together the journey, when you have constraints and a lot of the input that you're going to get, from meeting and putting this together, people just put a note. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, let me go and change the Visio or the whiteboard, whatever program tool that they're using. Okay. After the fact, but there you lose continuity.
Yeah.
Why are you making that change in the tool? Okay, because you might not have the process, the data, the technology to execute, that based on the priorities and the return on investment. So I see your tool adding that value, because a lot of people will put something in Visio or any other drawing tool, whiteboard tool, but that's just a piece of paper. You have the whole functionality, the whole structure of what that journey is going to do behind, so people can make decisions for how that journey is going to be applied. That makes sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Now let me ask you this: what happens? I know this is your experience. There is two thoughts out there in the industry, along the people that I work with as influencer from the technology point of view, is that journeys are not really controlled or owned by the company. The customer decides where to go. Okay, and what that means here is that your journey needs to be ready with the right process, data, and technology, people, processes, to be able to make that decision based on what the customer wants to do next. And traditionally, you have the journeys who are, left to right. Okay, you follow a path, and those are, the traditional, acquisition, journeys, or you have, onboarding journeys. But sometimes when somebody is shopping around, it's like you need to learn from the customer, bring that data into the journey, and create the next node, or let the customer select the next node, especially for e-commerce, and sometimes where we have sometimes no visibility is when I go to the store, supermarket, to many things, and this is something that happens a lot. You're a sports fan and you go to a baseball game or a hockey game or something. When you go to the game, you don't control the experience, but you do have this, locations, all the cool stuff to identify, who you are and do a lot of stuff. How you see the market? How you see your tool? Have you seen this? I mean, is this something that people bring up? Are we, not mature enough as an industry, or customer are not mature enough because they don't have the data, and we need to control the journey? The customer needs to go through here. And you see already this graphic that you have, the sidewalk, and then you have, the person walking through the trail, and people don't follow journeys. Any thoughts about that? How you guys see that today?
I think this is the power where we're going to get with a lot of the predictive analytics and AI features that are coming in as we sort of all mature in AI. We're going to get a little bit more knowledge of all those other little trails that no one thinks about that might be better experiences or different, or leads to different alternatives. Because I think it's right now, to your point, everybody thinks of journeys in one path, and they might think of, when they design their future journeys, they might think, okay, these are the ways that we're going to change it, and this is what we think is going to happen, and it's reality. Until they see it happening, they need to kind of fix it and change it and measure it just to see where it is. That's, to me, the beauty of what's coming and how we're using and leveraging AI in the future is going to really sort of allow us to be a lot more informed of all the alternatives that happen, and really understand like how to react to all these alternatives, these minor cases of sort of not the typical path. To your point, that people walking the rest.
So Annie, to your comment. So the fact that you guys are capturing the ideas, the priorities, the suggestions, this path versus the other path, and you capture that with your tool, okay, as a data point, and then you have, the data, that the result of the data of the actual journey, when it's executed, that you can bring that, and then on top of that, let's assume that you have already, 6 months, a year, 5 years. Then we bring, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, any of those, fancy models. We can start then looking into everything, make decisions. We thought about this, but look at this, that idea that you have 3 months ago, look, is now we can do it because, you're looking at the data. Does that make sense? As you
That's
progress,
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. That's exactly right. That's the vision there. Because I think there's so much opportunity to really, I think our world is about to really change. That we pull all that data that no one really gets to right now, because the reality is it's so broken still, but now with all the sort of advanced thinking that's happening, and with the capabilities that some of the new models gives us, it just affords us to really accelerate a lot of things that people haven't thought about in a long time, or I've dreamt about but never had a chance to really think about it through.
So the bottom line is, whatever you put on that whiteboard, that sticky note, that whatever small diagram that you put in a flip chart, or whatever, somebody documenting Excel that shared through email, you guys want to keep track of all that and keep that history in JourneyTrack, so people can make decisions and compare that with whatever the results are when people execute the actual journeys. Like you said, data from Qualtrics, or data from Marketing Cloud, or whatever tool they're using, Adobe, Google, so people can make wise decisions as they progress. Because I think that's the only way that the more you gather that data, the more you compile it, the more you understand that data, then you as a company, brand manager, or CX professional, customer service, IT guy, then you will know, who owns the journey, you or the customer. For me, it's both. I mean, it's share, that is share. But at a given point, you need to let go. Okay, so you let the customer do whatever they want to do, and hopefully they buy from you, or they're happy with that experience, But it's a two-way, process. So I believe, Christine, you want to do a demo?
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay, so
let me see. How can I
you can,
the screen?
yeah, you can
present,
and you can share the screen.
Share screen. Okay.
Yeah, on present, you go share screen.
Here we go. Got it. Okay. All right. There we go. How's that?
Perfect.
All right. Well, thanks, Jesus. I'll jump in. I'll give y'all a demo. You just had me thinking about one thing that I want to make sure that I show you, just to your point there, Jesus, about wanting to make sure that you keep track of like what the real actual experience is that the customer is going through, not what we think it is or what the touch points are that we want them to have with us, but like what's that actual journey. I'm excited to show you a bunch of ways that in JourneyTrack you're able to kind of keep track of both what the expectations are and what the actual journey is, to break down those silos so that everybody can kind of participate and understand the real journey. So JourneyTrack, this is the first page you'll see when you log into JourneyTrack. It's a workspaces page, so there you have the ability to create multiple workspaces depending on what your different business units are or different products and that sort of thing. Although it's really easy to collaborate and do a ton of stuff even within just one workspace. So let me kind of dive in and show you an example here of a workspace. So when you come in, the first thing you'll see is like an overview page, just a good place to kind of get an executive summary, some details about the project, and access your most recent work. But over here on the left is going to be your main navigation. So I'll come to personas and see those, and journeys and workshops. Here they are. I'll start with personas to show you. As Ania mentioned, we kind of believe you can't really head, down a journey mapping exercise without truly understanding who it is who's going on that path, right? So starting with personas is kind of crucial. Like, what are their motivations? What are their behaviors? What are the jobs that they're trying to get done? And so all of that is really easy to keep track of in here. You've got lots of cards available to you to kind of display your data however you want: goals, motivations, frustrations, backgrounds, favorite brands, quant data. You can keep it all in here really easily. Add as many of these sections as you want to, kind of move them around and resize them and make them your own. We also have a nice little DEI and segmentation tool built in here as well. Some folks like to make their personas a little bit more segment-based, especially if you're working in marketing. And so this card right here is kind of like that more structured demographics card. And if you're heading down that road with demographics, we wanted to give you a tool to kind of track representation and inclusivity at the same time so that you can work toward those goals. We've got US Census data built in here for age, race, education, and income. That's what you see in this column here. And then on the right, you're able to put in your current customers, and we give you a little indicator of how representative your current customers are of the US population. So it just kind of helps you, track those inclusivity goals. And then your personas are also listed here. So you can use the checkboxes to indicate the segments they cover and look for any gaps where maybe you haven't created those personas yet. Just kind of gives you that little finger on the pulse about how many personas you might need to still create. And then a couple, other great things about personas, you can make them global. So if you, want to have some specific personas that are already kind of established and you want the entire organization to use the same ones, you can mark them as global and they're available across your whole workspace. Everyone can use the same ones. That's a good way to kind of break down silos, make sure that everyone's consistently using the same personas and has the same understanding of the customers. Everything's totally collaborative in JourneyTrack. So you have lots of people working in this persona all at the same time. You kind of see little indicators where other people are working the same time as you. Tag people, resolve comments in your comments, just like you're used to doing in other tools. And then when you're done, you've got a bunch of options for exports. And the exports look really nice. You can put your own logo up at the top, obviously, instead of ours. But I think one of the benefits of having a web-based tool is, you've got exports there if you need them, but you can bring people into the platform to see the most up-to-date information, right? That single source of truth that we were talking about. So you've got the exports, but there are lots of ways to bring people into the platform to share the information. And I'll kind of walk you through that in just a second after I show you journeys. So I'll come over here now and show you journeys and workshops. Here is a list of all of those that we have in this workspace. When you want to create new ones, you can create them from scratch. You can import them from Excel. You can also make copies of any journeys you've already created. When you create them from scratch, this is when you have that choice if you're going to start with a journey mapping workshop or head straight into a journey map and start working. As Ania
what's the difference? The workshop is like, you bring the ideas
Yeah.
versus a journey. So we already have a journey in place. We're going to start using that journey.
Yes, exactly. So if you've already kind of got a journey, maybe you've built it somewhere else, like an Excel or Miro or something like that, and you've got the journey and you just want to put it in there and then kind of keep working on it, you would head probably into a journey map and just start working on that. But if you're really looking to start something new, gather ideas, bring a bunch of stakeholders together cross-functionally and get that deeper understanding of the journey, bring lots of people in for their perspectives, then you start with the workshop. This is we built it because of those sticky notes you're talking about, right? All over the board. And at the end of the day, though, somebody's got to comb through all that unstructured data and put it in a journey map. So we thought, we could just run all that right within our tool and click a button to make your journey map. Saves you all that time. So still all the deep collaboration, but also a lot.
So traditionally, Christine, when I do this, I just have a flashback of a project that I did in Chile, where, I have a room of, 30 people. And, the whole, the four walls, all the sticky notes and flip charts and everything. And we have a scriber.
Yeah.
Taking notes and everything. And then at the very end, we had to take that plus taking pictures of every sticky note on the flip charts, and my chicken scratch, whatever I wrote as well.
Exactly.
And people, then we had to go back and try to figure out what we meant, what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Here you have a tool. It's going to be digitized. Everything is going to be there.
Yeah.
And people can come back, add notes, revise it, make priorities, action items. All that is a follow up. So make it more. It's more agile. To put that together. No.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So let me kind of show you how this workshop works. I'll open up one that I got started already. So you can invite anybody that you want to participate in your workshop. They don't need to log in or anything. You just send them the link. And then you've got a bunch of, you're able to create a bunch of steps here. These green bars here are going to be the steps in your journey. And when you open them up, you've got a bunch of your lanes. So what are going to be those main things that you want to, track through your journey? So things like what's happening in this step, what are people thinking and feeling, what are their core needs, other people and touch points involved, and also starting to think through that opportunity scoring, right? Like Ulwick's jobs to be done ODI framework, right? How important is this to people? How satisfied are they, right? To help you kind of make those decisions about prioritization. And so then within each of these lanes, and by the way, you can customize these. These are just kind of the default ones. You've got a bunch of fields inside each of these lanes. So these are like your sticky notes. You've got everybody, adding as many of them as they want to. Everyone can type their ideas all up at the same time. You kind of start moving them around. So you can do that affinity mapping, add color to them to help you, group your themes. People can vote on their favorite ideas. And then, once you've kind of done this big exercise, which by the way, sometimes folks will do kind of in person to get started. But then to your point too, Jesus, you can send folks off to do it asynchronously later once they get the hang of it, so it can be a real time saver in that way as well. But then you've got, at the end of the day, these check boxes here where you're able to pick and choose which pieces of information you want to move from your workshop into your final journey map, and then which things you kind of just want to leave behind as notes that maybe you would refer back to later. And then you just click that big green button and boom, you made yourself a journey map. You can flesh out all the details forever going, the rest of time. And you can always refer back to your workshop anytime you want. It's got all your data, just like you took pictures of those sticky notes on the whiteboard, right? They're always here. You can refer back to them anytime. So it's a huge efficiency boom. But let me kind of show you what the journey maps look like, because that's just kind of the workshop interface. Let's go in and take a look at a journey map. So here on the left sidebar, you can put in a title, description, assign a persona, and then also keep track of those success metrics that we were talking about at the journey level, right? So with NPS as an example, we've got Qualtrics integration here. You can pull that data straight from Qualtrics survey. You kind of give it a time box, and then you're able to keep track of your NPS trend over time. Similarly, with these success metrics I've got above here, we've got a whole bunch of them that you can choose from. We kind of, box them out as either customer value metrics, business value metrics, or implementation metrics. So you can choose from an array of them here, give them definitions. To your point, Jesus, like what do we mean by CSAT? Like here's a place where you can define that so that everyone has a common term for it. You can also create your own metrics if you don't see what you're looking for in that list. And then as you open these up, you're able to keep track of that data over time as well. And you can add notes to these, a little better than like a little note that you were talking about, Jesus, because these are attached to those actual data points, right? You can say like on this date, this is when we made this change. And so then over time, I can see like, okay, well, how has my CSAT changed?
Yeah, there's a metric and there's a data point,
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So then let's see, then you're also able to see a snapshot of kind of the current data here on the left. And then your main workspace for your journey maps is over here on the right. So everything here you can customize. You can, change the titles of the lanes. You can click and drag to move your lanes around. You can add lanes, delete lanes. So just the process of journey mapping is extremely streamlined by using a tool like this, not even to mention all the collaboration and democratization that we've talked about. So I won't go through every single lane type you've got here, but you've got the ability to put in phases, core needs and actions, like, lots of text that you may want to have here. Your process, thinking and feeling, I think is kind of one of those hallmarks of journey maps, and it's really easy. You can just move the faces around and also add a sentiment here. You can have more than one experience showcased in that lane as well, to Ania's point about either being able to see like front end, back end, or if you're wanting to compare two experiences. Then there are places for images. We've got like icon cards. I think something else that may be interesting, and you brought this up a little bit, Jesus, is how you can keep track of all of the different relationships between your journeys, right? Like maybe there are branches, like you mentioned, they're decision points and people could go different directions, or maybe there's, a related journey, but it's a whole different persona. And so that's not exactly the same. This sub-journeys lane can help you keep track of those different related journeys. So anything that's related, you can kind of link to it here, have easy access to those journeys. If there's a decision point, folks can go out from there.
Yeah, because to your point, and looking here at this journey, you have, starts when the person is going to do the login. But there's another subset, at least 2 other journeys. If this is a new person, okay, and that could be another journey for customer acquisition, and then you have current customer, and that really brings the point that people need to start thinking, hey, we need to identify the persona, because what happens here is that we might identify here, but the dependency here is that when people go to a lot of these marketing automation tools, you're an email, you're not a persona. Okay, and it's tough to, with the email, identify if you're a current customer or a brand new customer, so you can quickly identify what type of persona you are. So this brings that point, when you see it here graphically, I need to have a data point in the other journey to be sure that we start properly here.
Yeah.
With everything that you have in here.
Yeah, that's a great example. Exactly. And then you'd have easy access to it right here. You could build out those other related journeys as well. And then you can always access them and link to them easily and see that relationship.
And it brings the issue to the point versus when I thought that the technology could do that. No, you identify here that you cannot do it. You need to work on it. Whatever that use case it is, because it brings, you can make the decision right here, based on the priority.
Yeah. So to your point, then we've got various ways that you can prioritize in JourneyTrack. So the first thing that you kind of need to do in order to prioritize is you need to have good access to whatever information it is that you're using to make your decisions. Where's that data, right? Like not just what people think, but also what we know based on data. So we've got this insights lane where you're able to kind of keep track of that information. You get like a little summary that's in the map, but if you click on it, that summary is up at the top. Inside, it's really a hub. So this is the place where you can put all of that information that folks need to have access to right there in the context of your journeys, right?
If that is empty, how come you're going to make a decision?
So you've got it all here, right? You get everybody in the room to talk about it. Everyone can access all the data, right? The most important data to the journey, you're already showcasing in a visual way in your journey maps, right? But then here's kind of that background data that everybody can have access to. Then you've got, in JourneyTrack at least, various levels of decision making. So you can take a look at prioritizing things at like a step level. You can take a look at prioritizing next steps at like a recommendation level. So you can have many recommendations within individual steps. And then also you can prioritize whole journeys, like using these success metrics over here on the side, thinking about, okay, we've got a whole bunch of journeys. To your point, Jesus, we've got a whole bunch of different journeys, but which ones of those are the ones that we should really put our most effort in? Because you can't focus on every single journey all the time, right? There's just never enough time. So how do we decide which actual journeys we're going to focus on? So I'll kind of show you these different ways that you can prioritize here. At the step level, this is that opportunity scoring I mentioned that's also in the workshop. So this is always jobs to be done, right? You've got importance and satisfaction as your primary variables, and then we calculate an opportunity score for you and give you an opportunity rating, and then we plot it for you. So you go to your opportunity map and you can see all of those steps plotted with satisfaction plotted against importance, so you can make decisions about which steps are going to be like most ripe to bring you a big return, right? They're really important to people, but folks are not very satisfied. So this red triangle over here, those are your top opportunity steps. And this was something that, right before I showed you this demo, you had me thinking about, because you were talking about, what we think we know versus what we actually know when we validate our journeys. And so this opportunity map gives you the opportunity, as it were, to do that. So what you can do is you've got these 2 opportunity score lanes. One's a presumptive opportunity score, one's an actual. The presumptive is for your workshops. When you've got all those stakeholders or executives in a room, everyone's kind of making their best guess. It's maybe an informed guess, but it's still a guess about how important this is to people or how satisfied. So that's like the expectation that you want to hang on to. Then when you go and you validate this with your customers, you've got real data. That's your actual opportunity score. And then on this map, you can look at the gaps between what you expected and what you found, so that then you're able to say, okay, like it's just right there in black and white. Like, this is what we thought, and this is what the reality is. And so that's going to help us make these decisions. It just kind of takes the guesswork out of it. It brings, democratizes everything, brings it down, makes it objective. Nobody has to get any hurt feelings or anything. It's just, right there on the screen. I think this is a really helpful way to bring people together to make decisions or aligned around real data, right? So this is one way that you can prioritize in JourneyTrack, kind of at these step levels. Another way that you can do it is with recommendations. So recommendations you can kind of see here, you can have multiple recommendations in each step. You can have recommendations reused across steps or across journeys. And what you can do with these recommendations is create kind of like a high level recommendation, but also the actions associated with it to get those recommendations done. So for each action that you create within a recommendation, you can give it an effort and a cost rating, a due date, ownership, priority level. You can also even create JIRA tickets from here. So send these tickets right off to JIRA. You can track that within JourneyTrack as well. And then the first thing that comes out of this is just being able to track those actions over time, right? So you've got an action plan here. You can, manage your actions, always see where you are with your recommendations and look back to where those came from. Keep track of the ones that are happening in JIRA as well, right? So just kind of that workflow management you've got right here. But back to more the prioritization question that we were talking about. Using some of these metrics that you've got in here, like effort and cost, are going to help you make some of these decisions about prioritizing, right? So each action has that effort and cost rating, then that gets aggregated up here at the recommendation level, okay? And then you're also able to give a relative rating for how much value it would bring the customer to do this recommendation and how much value it would bring the business to do this recommendation. So, as you kind of add this across all of your recommendations, then we've got a really nice visualization to kind of help you make sense of all that. So if you come over here to your recommendations, then you can see customer value and business value plotted against each other, with each bubble here being a recommendation, right? How much value is it going to bring the customer? How much value is it going to bring the business? The size of this recommendation is based on how much effort it would be to do it, and the shade is how much cost. So 4 variables at once as you're looking across all your recommendations. What do we focus on first? What's the thing that matters to us as an organization right now the most? Are we trying to bring customer value or trying to bring business value? Balance the two. How much effort do we have to put into something right now? All of that is right here on this one graph, right? And similarly at the journey level, so that's the last one that I was mentioning, right? There's a really similar graph using success metrics now, those journey level success metrics we talked about. Now you can see all of those plotted here, so that now each bubble is a journey. We're not looking at recommendations anymore. These are all journeys. And so now, oh gosh, we've got lots of journeys. How are we going to make a decision about which journeys we want to focus on first? Again, you can use data to help you make those decisions. So you can decide, what you want your customer value access to be. I chose CSAT in this case. What you want your business value access to be, and I chose revenue in this case. Now each bubble is a journey, with the size being how complex the journey is and the shade being how many customers it reaches. So take a look at all our journeys, everybody, which ones are the ones that we're going to focus on because we care about them the most because of whatever reasons. So these kinds of things that you can pull people together after you've already created the journeys. I think this is one of the real values that you get out of a tool like JourneyTrack too, is that it's not just about the mapping, right? It's about all of the insights and the management that comes out of it, all the actions that you can track, all of the visualizations that help you make your decisions.
So who will be your advocate in a company to start using this tool?
Who would be what? Can you say it again?
Your advocate, your sponsor. Because I'm thinking, I'd rather do it the way I'm doing it right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm happy with my sticky notes, but again, I don't know what I don't know. And then I let them. You go from sticky notes to implementing, in the technology, the journey, or the different technologies, but you lose track of that. You lose track of everything that you have here. So what would be the compelling argument, for companies who are listening to us right now, eventually in the podcast, why, what would be the benefit of doing this? Why do I need to talk to my, CXO to start using the tool, But you have a lot of compelling, features in here that make sense, but, how we can change that chip, in a lot of these companies,
Yeah.
Or who will be the mature company, the mature, person that already hey, listen, we need something like this. Let's go ahead and do it.
I think anybody who's actually done the work and done and try to analyze a workshop knows that there's so much work that happens post I even think those guys are saying, oh, we do the workshop and we got it. They spend another 40, 60 hours trying to get that journey map done. We'll see value, right? So I think even at the lowest level, I think they see value because just it's so painful. Jesus, I'm sure you know, if running those, that like it is, if there's better ways to do it, I'm sure nobody wants to be doing all that extra work, right? And so I think at the very fundamental, but our target customer, if you will, is really managing. It's an enterprise customer, right? They're managing multiple journeys. They're trying to govern it across a lot of products and services. So center of excellence, people really care about this stuff. They're worried about it. Anybody at the director or above should be worried about it. So yeah, so anybody a director is not just worried about one person's wanting to do it that way. They're looking at it across a lot of folks doing that, and they want to be able to streamline the work that's being done in their team. So typically managers, directors, they care. They're not absent to this. They don't think that they know better because they have this like pulled together multiple, like I'm going to do the workshop in Mirror, and then I'm going to have to put in Excel, and then I'm going to have to analyze it, and then I'll have to have my designer make something pretty in Figma or and here I go, it's going to take you 16 weeks. Some of our case studies, for example, one of those we have publicly with Paychecks, they talk about the fact that there's 16 weeks to do this work when they're doing this internally, and they do this every week, right? They've been able to use our tool and break that down to 8 weeks to pull it for, that's 50% savings. If you think an ROI on that, just one person saving, half the hours, 1,000 hours a week at $60 an hour, that's a huge win. That's more than covers the cost of the software, right? It's huge ROI for the teams internally.
And I heard you, Christine, that you integrate to Jira, no? So the fact that out of this, you have an action plan to go ahead and do the implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that feedback back from the different tools, applications, whatever that you do in the implementation. And I'm thinking here, in Latin America, in Europe, and in the States, I have a lot of colleagues and friends who are CX consultants, and they do exactly, Ania, what you just said. I have my own methodology to do CX. Let me do the workshops. So so if there are CX consultant practitioners, they should be able to use this tool to bring that down, to do the execution, because it's one thing to be sure that everybody have a CX customer-centric culture, and you come up with the methodology, whatever that is. But it's one thing now. Let's do the workshops. Let's sit down. Now, then you have companies, enterprises, that they truly have, CX consultants that they need to put together a governance, and I think listening to you, Ania, you need to have a governance, and this is your tool to help you, manage and put that operational model to do a good CX, and you can measure it and come up with decision if who owns, the journey, the company or the customer, because with this governance, you're going to capture data, everybody's going to be in sync. You're going to do stuff in 8 weeks versus 16 weeks, so that's going to be something that is going to make sense. Mm-hmm. So saying that, we have like 5 or 10 minutes left, and how do they get access to your tool? They go to the website, there's a freemium. Yeah. You guys do consulting, you partner with other people to do this. How can people acquire your technology?
So yeah, you can go ahead into the website. There is a free basic available that is available for anybody to go and check it out and run an initial workshop to whatever it is that they want to do. I will say this to those that are like you, that are consultants. We do have a consultant program where people use it for their customers, and you're able to get a license and then reseller to your customers. So there's that. So if you want to use it, Jesus, happy to chat about that, or anybody who's listening to this as well. We have a lot of consultancies on here as well, even some big ones. So that's huge. And I think for those that are like, looking for more an enterprise sort of solution and multiple teams, we're happy to schedule a demo with your team, show you more in depth what that looks like, how you could use it. And then those that go through our demo, we'll give them 3 weeks access to everything, to all the features and functions. So that's out there as well.
Okay, so I'm putting the website here at JourneyTrack.io.
Yep.
For those listening on the podcast, JourneyTrack.io. I'll put it down the link when this gets published as well. Perfect. Anything else you guys want to address before we end the show?
I'll add on just one last thing to what Ania was saying, and just to address your question about like who's the advocate when you're talking about a tool like JourneyTrack these days. I think the beauty of a tool like this is that it has something for everybody. You know, the folks who are on the ground doing the research and actually creating the journey maps, this streamlines their work process, right? For the folks who are concerned about cross-functional collaboration, like that's right in here too. And for higher level leadership executives who need to see that big picture, that's built in too. So it's really a tool that's a win for everybody, and not just on efficiency standards, but being able to just, you know, actually bring a bigger return on your business because you're able to actually see what you need to do. So I think there's a little something for everybody in there.
Excellent. No, I really enjoyed the conversation. Anything else? We all set? You ready for another cup of coffee?
Coffee's the best.
I know. Perfect. So let me do here the outro. Please don't leave yet. If you know, but you guys can follow me, and this is going to be on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn. I will put the link down of the website as well in the description. Thank you so much, and see you on my next podcast next week with customer engagement, and then conversaciones de CRM, and then tomando café. See you next week. Thank you so much.